Hello students, this is the project for CE 354 and this is the standard drawing from project_county road 100 south.dwg, and so the survey is XREF'd in here. It should look just like this. This was what the Route 1 looked like, and we can drive around in here. So if you're getting ready to lay out your project and finish your vertical and horizontal curvature, and then this is the start point, is down here at the end, and you're being instructed to start at this point and to set your station to be 100 plus 00, and we're going to call it line PRA. So you went through this before in one of the tutorials back earlier in the semester. We do this alignment creation tool, and we have to give our alignment a name, so I'm going to call it PRA. And this is my description. County 100 South, the type is a center line. That's good. It's not connected to a site. What kind of alignment is it? It's a standard alignment. Use capital 1. That looks good. And alignment set. That looks good. Use the all caps align label set. And then you just don't forget, I just did, to change the start station. So we're starting at 100. And now we click OK. And we're ready to go. And the first thing we have to do is set tangent to tangent and start setting points. Again, if you ever are not sure what to do, look down here, right there, and it is always going to tell you what it's waiting for, what you're doing. So let's zoom in to make sure we click right. Alright, we started our line. You can see we've got the rubber band line now, and that looks great. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm just going to draw this in along more or less the center line, best I can tell, of County Road 100 South, and we can move this later, so we don't have to be perfect first shot around. And I'm going to come up here, I'm going to tag it here to this intersection, because that seems like a good spot to put a PV or a PI. I'm going to do intersection, and I'm going to do the same thing at the next intersection where these cross. This line right here is the center line. And I don't know what's going on with that line, but we won't hit that one. Let's just snap right there. You can see that's the center line. The contours are breaking there, and that's because that's the peak of the road. All right, and then we're going to go down here. This says end alignment and profile right there, so I'm going to zoom in here, and I am going to tag that. And then I'm going to right click, and I'm done. And so apparently it's 160 stations from where we started. Actually 60. Started at 100, and then we're going to back up here. And it looks pretty good. Now you're probably going to want to check. We do horizontal first. Once horizontal is set, then we pull the vertical. So make sure you like your horizontal alignment before you do the vertical piece. So we're going to zoom in here. So I'm not quite on the center line of the road. There, I'm not too far off. Not too far off. It's close enough. The existing center lines of roads wiggle around. They probably aren't following their original alignment. And there was a little wiggle. That one went pretty far off. It probably scooted over because there was a house here back in the day when they were working on it. There's that. So we can put in a vertical curve. We can put in some PIs there if we want to arc it. Here we're pretty far off. Right, that's pretty far off. And it stays pretty far off. I don't want to be that far off. That seems like a lot. Zoom in here. If you want to know how far off you are, you can type in the distance and DIST, and that will measure 2 feet. That's quite a bit. All right, so let's put a break this and put in a new PI. So over here, this is to add a new PI, and we're going to insert a PI. Pick point near PI to insert. And so let's do that. Oh, I did 2. Don't do that. We're going to exit. We're going to undo. Oh, there we go. Apparently I only am supposed to click once. I'm going to go nearest. Well, it's not snapping, but we're just going to hit that. Alright, so put the PI in up here. And I think that looks good. I'm going to jump back out. So I've added in a point of intersection right there. And you can see I'm right on top of the center line of the road. Again, at least I was for a while. This road moves around a bit. and then back here we're back on it, and it comes through the intersection. So I put in one curve through there, right? And now let's check and see how big of an angle break we have in there, because we want to be able to, we don't want it to be too much. Remember, you have to put horizontal curves in. So I clicked this, which gives you tabular view. This pops up. It popped up on my other screen. I just moved it over there for us. And here's our stations. Here's our PIs. This is the direction, and the starting station, ending station. And we did not change much. Right, this was the intersections. There we just changed 10 minutes. This one we changed a little more. That one we changed a little more. And to do a good job, we can add a curve into these. So I'm going to get rid of this so I can see what I'm doing. That's at 137. Let's pull that back up. 137. That's this guy. So my starting station went 9:48:48 to 9:89:23:54 through there. So it gives me an idea. Let's throw in a curve, and I'm going to use the free curve fillet through there. Down here it says select first entity. That's the first one, and the next one's this one. Go in order of your station. There we go. And it's going to be less than 180 degrees. And now I need to give it a radius, and this is a very gentle curve, so I can give it a really big radius. So I'm going to go 10,000 feet. And even at 10,000 feet, that is a small length of curve. Look at that. It's not very long at all. So, there's a point of curvature and our point of tangency right there. And it is only about 40 feet. We need a bigger curve than that. That's too small. That'll look funny when we're done. So we're going to come back in here, and we're going to make this, yeah, it's only about 30 feet long. That's not good. Actually, there's the length, 29. So we want this to be a lot bigger. Otherwise, it just looks like you made a mistake when you were paving it. And it doesn't come out. Let's make it 20,000 foot radius. That jumps it up where we're still only at 58 foot long. Well, we can make this even gentler. Let's go 30,000 feet on the radius. Probably, technically, you don't need a curve in this point because the change in direction was so small, but maybe we want to be perfectionists. And we're going to show this in here. I'm going to get rid of that. So there we go. So now we have one little horizontal curve in here just to keep things smooth. Do that. And through an intersection, people expect a little bit of a change in direction. Intersections is not as big a deal there. That one just kept us on top of the center line through there, and I think we're pretty good. So I'd say I'm going to call this done. Do all that first because that would change your total station and your total length of your project if you add in any curves anywhere, if you want to move that around. So that looks good. So I'm going to close out of that. And now I'm going to pull the existing ground. You can see the contour lines are turned on. You can shut those off if they bother you. These contour lines are turned on, and I'm going to now pull the existing ground elevation from underneath it. So we are up here in alignment. Now we're going to drop down here to profile. And we're going to do create surface profile. And the alignment name is still PRA. It automatically picks up your starting and ending station from where you were before. And it's saying which surfaces do you want to use. This is the only surface we have, so use it. It should be pretty easy. Once you tell it what you're trying to pull, to here, to there, then we have to add it to this section down below by clicking this button. Now it adds it down here. Now it will actually do it. Now it's going to draw in profile view. It's going to give us a bunch of options here. What's our profile view name? I'm just going to leave it alone. It's PRA through there. And then what profile view style do we want? And in this case, pick your basic profile for VE. That'll give you a 20:1 scale, 20 foot in the horizontal and a 5 foot scale in the vertical, 5 foot exaggerated. It's 5 feet per inch vertical, 20 feet per inch in the horizontal. That's what that means. I said it wrong. Okay, and I can change what layer I want it on. This looks fine, whatever. So let's create that profile view. Now it says, where do you want to drop it? I'm going to drop it maybe up here. Ooh. And it is actually just exactly as long as this one was. And so now we've got this, and it automatically has stationed all of our profiles. It automatically gives you the existing ground elevation. And if you zoom in up here, this line is the existing ground. And so now we can design our horizontal. So that looks good. And first you need to save this thing. All right, I probably should have done that earlier before we did the profile, in case it has a problem. So now this point right here is this point right here. Right, so we've got our alignment, and now we're going to do our profile. And we want to match that. It actually works very similar to how we did the alignment. And so we're back in here in profile. We already created the surface profile. Now we're going to go to profile creation tools. The next button down. First thing they're going to ask you is, see down here, is which profile view are we working in? So you have to click this box that you just created, this grid, and grab it. All right, there we go. The alignment name is PRA, profile name, this is called PRA, yes. There we go. And what's our profile style? Our profile style is design profile, all caps. C road profile PRA will be the profile layer name when it comes out. How do we want to label it? Do we want to put ditch labels on it? Yeah, I don't think so. Let's put alignment labels on it. That seems like the way to go. All caps. And that will make it look pretty automatically. This little box looks almost like the last one. Again, just like in horizontal curve design, we're in vertical. We're also going to start by drawing tangents. Here's our tangent, and we're just going to click this guy on the end. Make sure you're on the line. There we go. I like to drop in the first PI. This is 50 feet in. That's not bad. Make sure you're snapping to the line, the existing line. That way you can later go back and make sure this grade and these elevations match your final one. You can move that later, but for now I like to get in there. So now we're going to zoom back out a little bit here. We've got a major hill here, so I'm thinking we're going to put one crest curve there and try to get one complete sag curve through, because we don't like to do multiple sags. And then another big crest, and then another big sag curve, another crest, and a little roller coaster out there. A lot of nice grade change. That's one of the reasons I like this project. So let's say our first one, we're going to have a PI somewhere in this neighborhood. I'm going to snap to the grid there, because that puts my PVI, point of vertical intersection, at exactly an even station, which isn't a bad idea, right? And I'm going to come down here, and we are doing PVI. So the next one, we can kind of line that up. Our next PVI, let's say we lined up on that. It doesn't look too bad. So we zoom in. I'm kind of on top of the existing ground. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to see, I'm going to line up right in here. See this section right in here? I'm trying to make this tangent. My red line should be kind of laying over the top of the green line in there. And then I'm going to extend that until I'm halfway right in the center of the hill, so that I can view where if I had a tangent coming from over here on this side, it would match. I'm going to have to move all these a little bit later. That's good. Now see this one. I'm going to try to line this guy up. How about that? There we go. And I'm gonna. Now we may have to go back and add more curves in here later. This may not work. Ideally, in the best of all possible worlds, we have a single sag going to the next crest, and we can match pretty closely the existing ground all the way down through here. It's not common that you can get by and everything is going to work out that well. So there, click in there. I should have put that on. See here, this is too long, so we're just going to carry that over. Got a little hill here, and a little sag here, and then one big hill. Look at that guy. That's a big one. I'm going to come here, hit that. Or we're going to have to put a sag in here somewhere. Let's do that. Here we can almost finish out, except I'm going to tag right there and tag to the end again. This ensures that, right click when you're done. This ensures, and you can't even see the green line now because I'm right on top of it. This ensures this last piece right before you end your project is exactly matching the grade of the existing road, because you want that. You don't want there to be a bump right at the end where you suddenly change grade because you didn't bother matching. So we put that in there so we can see where that point is through that. Now let's see. So that's what we've got. So now we can come back here and do some curve fitting. All right, so first off, let's look at some tables. This is what we put in text format. Here, let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. There's a lot of PIs. That's 16 of them in there. This is the beginning and ending, so I guess it's actually 14 intermediate ones. Through there, whoa, we got an 11% grade. That's never going to fly. Grade, oh, that's grade break. We still have an 8% that's not going to fly. We're going to keep this down to 5% or so. I'm not picking any specific design criteria in this demo, but you should know what design criteria you picked for this and use your design criteria. So check your grades, make sure that they're all going to work. Just to be making everything look nice, you want these stations to be right at an even 25 feet. Maybe 10 if you really had to do it. So this one I'm going to round this guy up to 50. I can just type it in here. And that will automatically move that PVI point for me. Oh, that's ugly. Who put that in there? Let's do 125. You can fix these visually, or you can type them in. In this case, I'm just going to type them in. We're probably going to move them around later anyway, but for now, let's just get them in here. And this one I can go 75. That's pretty close to that. Right. It automatically fixes all these things. We're going to have to worry about that a little more later. This is an example of how to pretty up your drawings. People may laugh at you if you have odd stations. Now the end one we can't fix, right? It is what it is as far as the length goes. But for the rest we can move those. It automatically moves these for you over here once you start typing them in like that. All right. Okay. So that's in there. Good. And if this big line, this red line is too fat for you, and it's blocking things down here, is a show hide line weight. You can turn that down. And now it hides the line weight. Now on your final prints, you want that to be a big bold line. So we show it that way. And for design, it can probably get in the way. All right. So here was our first PVI, right? So now we can go back here and we can look and say, well, what was my incoming grade? So I know I have to tie in at this elevation at the beginning, 76.43, and my entering grade has to be negative 2.75. Right. And down here, the next PVI, we enter that. I'm going to keep this the same. I'm going to keep this at negative 2.75. We could eventually then get rid of that. Move this to the side. You can't see it now, but so I don't lose it. Now you can see we come through this PVI point. There's no need for this here now because we're continuing that grade on down as we come this direction. You can see we're continuing. Well, it's getting kind of where this is each of these lines. I think it's a foot. Let's check. Yep, 1 foot each for each line. And so we're a foot below grade, we're a foot and a half below grade, 2 feet, whoa. So that's not going to work. So maybe I do need to keep that in there. So I'm going to, if you click the profile line, the red one, all right, it shows you where your grips are. So here's one, and then down here would be the next one. So this PVI needs to go up. Yep. I'm going to keep it on that line. Let's try that. That lines up better going this way. And I would say this needs to go up a little bit. Let's go up 2 feet. There we go. And so right in here now, we're doing pretty good. In general, it's a little better to be high than it is to be low when you're out in this neighborhood. And we did have to change that. I'm going to move this PVI point down here. All right. And that should tie in pretty carefully. And if I come back over here and look at it, all right, oh, I'm not negative 2.75 anymore. Now I'm at negative 2.54. We don't want to mess this up. We don't want that guy to move. So you can go over here and you can lock it. Scroll to the far right and it locks. All right, so I can't change that. I can change the grade though. So I'm going to get negative 2.75. And that will force these other ones to change. And now I know for sure that I'm not going to have a bump at this end of the project. Look, it even gave us a little lock symbol here. Isn't that nice? So we've got a really smooth transition. We've got a small curve here. We're going to put a little sag curve in there. And then we're going to hit into our vertical one. So the next piece is how long a curve do we want to use. And it's going to be depend on your K value. Right? So you're going to have to check your design criteria and know what your K value you want is. To add the curves in, I'm going to come here to the curve symbol, drop down to free vertical curve, parabola, because we're in vertical. It's going to ask you where's your first entry, and then it's going to ask you where your second one is. So where's my first entry? I wanted to put a little curve in back here. And my next entry is there. Right. And we can design by K. And so if I just hit K, here, what's my K value? I think for the sags on this, I only need a 60 something, but let's say I just want to type in a 65 foot one. So it'll put the K value in for me. We don't like odd links in our vertical curves, and it'll keep doing more. I'm just going to bop out of this. Here's my curve length. We don't want 83.04 feet, and that's kind of small, so again, people are going to feel like it's a bump in the road. So if we come back over here, here's this guy. Again, this is from this table view, which you can get to from there. Here now, here's my curve length, my K value, my curve radius. I'm not sure what we need curve radius for. It must be kind of weird in a parabola to have a radius. I'm just going to make this something nice. And so the minimum would be probably 100 feet along here, so let's try that. And now I got a K value of 78. Well, maybe I like 150. 150 is a nice number. As long as I don't run off the end of the project. That's a good K value. You can do pretty good on that. That'll be a nice gentle sag curve in here. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. So come back over here. Here we are. If we click on the red one, there it is. And it starts here in this blue dot and ends at that blue dot. And that would be 150 feet. So 75 feet either side, and look, we have a nice round number, which is what we want. Try to keep this again in increments of 10, round to the nearest 10 feet would be ideal, and at an even station. So we did a good job on this one. The elevation will float to whatever elevation is through there, but anyway, I claim this is a pretty well done one. So nice long curve. It's not going to be people can see these. If you make them too short, even though it meets the required K values, it throws people off a little bit, and they just think it looks a little chintzy. Right. Now this one can be a really big curve. Right. So we're going to make a big enough curve on this crest that we start way back over here. So that's what, 200 feet down, and it's going to go to this far side. So we're going to be in the 300 to 400 foot range. And that, even though the PVI is up here, if we put a long enough curve in, the actual height of the profile alignment is going to be back down in here. So let's add another one in. Grab this guy. And next entity. Ooh, okay. What's the length? Let's put in length in, and I'm going to say let's try 400 feet. Didn't like that. So I need to change what kind of curve I got. Start over. Yeah. All right. Where'd it go? Profile creation tools. And right there. Oops. That's not what we wanted. We wanted. I wanted to take this guy. And that brings up the profile view, and then we're going to come up here to geometry editor, and that gives us this guy back. And there we go. So click this profile line first, come up to geometry editor, that gives you back your toolbox. So sorry I bopped out of there. we're going to do free curve parabola. And we're going to click our first entity, click our second entity. Now I'm going to pay attention. It's still trying to do K's down here. I think, oh no, it says specify length. So let's try a 300-foot length. And it put it in. There it goes. Maybe 400 was just too long last time. Because, yeah, we got like a 25-foot tangent in between. That's all right. But look how nicely that fits. That looks like it's right just above the existing ground. And then it comes back out of the curve, and then we're here. We're a little high, but we're about a half foot high. There, that's not bad. And then we would do the same thing down here. We can just keep going to town. Now this one, we're also going to put a really huge curve in through there. I guess this is 100 feet between the darker red lines. So we're going to aim for 100, almost 200 feet each side, so about a 400-foot curve. So let's try that. I'm going to hit that. Next entity there. Let's try this one at 400. Ooh, look at that. So this jumped up. We're a little low. Still in the middle, according to me. We have room on either end to make this a bigger curve. To do that, I'm going to escape to get out of that command line, and I'm going to go back to that geometry editor, and it popped up on my other screen. There it is. Here, I put in a 400. Let's make this smaller. Come on. Come on. Not about you, but this thing can be frustrating. All right, there we go. I'm going to hide this up here. So here's our curve, and I'm going to make this thing 500. Let's do that. 500. Ooh, look how that jumped up. Isn't that nice? We're not too far off. All right, get this out of the way. And now we can zoom in here. Look at that. You know, we're not far off. We're a little high there. It's better to be a little bit above existing than it is to be below it, generally. Through there, it looks good. This one, all right, see how we're above here, but over here we're a little below. If we just shifted this whole thing over to the right a little bit, like maybe 25 feet, that would line that up better. I want to do that in text so I don't have to try to snap into anything. So that's that. Where's my PI? Here, my PI is there. So let's try 108.75. Let's see what happens if I scoot this thing over. 108.75. The nice part about Civil 3D is it automatically updates everything for you. Alright, so we scooted just over a little bit. 108.75, look at that. It already did it for us. Still have 500-foot curve. And you can also see it up here. Here's our 500-foot curve. Alright, ooh, this is a low K value though, right? This is a big curve. That may not be a high enough K value. Right, we're only at 46. There's a big change in grade coming through this. And we have a little bit of room to make this a bigger curve. We can try a 550-foot curve. Again, keeping it even incremental. We're only up to 51. We may not make it on this. Let's try a 600-foot curve. See, here's the end of the curve we're working on. Here's the end of the curve before it. As long as they don't get too close to each other, we're going to be okay. Still got a low K value. I'm going to try 650. Yep. Yeah. We're up to 60 now. Maybe that's enough. Check your design criteria. All right. And let's see how we're doing on alignment. So that big of a curve is going to be really high. So we're a little too high, and we stay too high all the way through. We need to drop the elevation on this guy. Drop the elevation about 2 feet. So let's go 756. All right. Now the problem is we've increased the grade in and out of it because we dropped the elevation of the PVI, but we kept the curve length the same, so it hurt our K value. We dropped from 60 back to 55. So this is an iterative process. Get used to it. Now we do have we have 50 feet between tangents. We're doing really good on this side. I still think we're not far enough to the right. So let's add in, let's go another 50 feet. Let's go 109. Let's try 109. Okay, so we jumped over here. Look at that. All right, I like this tangent. This tangent's working good for me over here. I kind of want to stay on that tangent. And coming out over here, yeah, we're looking pretty good there. Our K value is still bad, but we move to the right so we can make this curve a little longer. Let's go 700 foot curve. Still only 59. All right, let's go 750. Let's see if it blows up. It'll tell you if you get too far over. All right, well, they're still not touching. We still have room over here. Problem is, we finally got above 60, the K value. We're pretty high through here. We're 2 feet above the existing road right through there. Tie in there. We should really lower our elevation a little bit to match better, but when we do that, we're going to lose some K value. Let's not take too drastic a step. Let's do 755.75. And down to 62. How are we fitting here? It's not bad. We could go a little to the right as well. Let's try 109.25. And let's make it a little bit lower still. 755.50. All right, still got 60. 750 foot curve length. That's a long curve. Through there. And we need to be lower. We really need to be lower. It's not going to cut it. We're doing good on this side now. So that's not going to be great. Let's set our outbound. We can also set our grade. Let's say we don't want to go anything above a negative 1.4. That'll force it up a little bit. Oh, I typed in the wrong one. I just set that grade. Bad. Okay. And we come through here, and then we get this -4. That's the bad one. So coming out of that last one before this, let's set it at -4.25. That'll raise it up a little. Actually, I'm going to lower this one. Set this at -1.5. That dropped this back here. That dropped this elevation on this guy. And now I want to come out here at -4.5. Right? It's not over. Oh, now see, look, we're matching up really nice. Coming through here. That really looks good. Yeah, look at that. We're just a little higher there. The only problem is K value is still nasty. We can change it this way. You can just type it in. What's 60? Nope, can't solve. So it's getting too big. We're going to run in. When it says you can't solve, it means it's going to hit. These two are going to touch probably. Because yeah, 50 more feet at 800, with those two will touch. You can try it. Well, let's try 70. Let's keep around numbers. Because you have to do it. Nope, can't solve it. It's still too big. All right, it's too close to the next one down. This looks good though. We just have a low K value through there. Yeah. The problem is the end of that curve is right up here my next PVI. So that's not going to work. Yeah. See, here's one PVI. Here's the next one is way up there. All right. So something isn't working here. We may have to rework this guy. Yep, not going to work. All right, so we just have to bring this up. We're just going to have to put in a big section of fill. Let's try -4. Right, and then let's drop this down. Let's go back 700. All right, now this is the end of my curve. It's still way too high to get that through there. Yeah, we're just going to have to be a little bit higher through there. And then we're going to have to check our catch slopes, and see how close we are to getting caught through there. So at this point, it's just an iterative process. You're going to work your way down through the profile. You're going to be changing putting in a curve length for each one of these as you come through. And then again, checking your K value and checking your lengths as you come through it. And it's going to be a process of iteration. You're going to be checking it as you go, putting in curves and going. And typically, I work from left to right because that's the way the stations move up. If you know you have to tie into a road, like at those intersections, you should be sure you know where that is in your profile station. Right down here's your stations. So check where you are and make sure you're right close to the elevation you need, which is usually about right at the existing ground, unless you want to do a lot of alignment and profile work on the side road. If you want to tie into the side road well, you want to make sure that your grade is pretty close. All right. So that's again just the same process all the way down, and you can work your way through it. We got through just 3 of those. It's going to take a little longer to get through 16 of these PIs through that.